Today's podcast is brought to you by webcreatorpros.com. If you're looking for a professional website at an affordable price, head on over to webcreatorpros.com, type in the promo code TRUTH to save $200 on your first website. webcreatorpros.com.
If you would like to sponsor the show or advertise on the Mythicist podcast, you can do so by going to www.mythicist.me and click on Sponsor the Show for more info. If you would like to support the show financially, you can do that also by going to mythicist.me and become a monthly supporter. We appreciate your monthly support. You are now listening to the Mythicist podcast, your portal to the paranormal, streaming live at mythicist.me, your hub for all things spiritual, esoteric, and paranormal. And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
What's up, guys? I'm your host, TruthSeekah, and I'm joined tonight by Garrett Russell, the vocalist of Solid Planet. What's going on, Garrett?
Hey, what's up? Hey, man. It's going well. Just hanging out at a parking lot here at Vans Warped Tour.
How's life on the road treating you, man?
It's going well, man. Pretty much full-time touring. And Vans Warped Tour is interesting because you're touring with like 1,000 other people, so that's kind of unique.
Awesome, man. I know that you're a Christian, correct?
Yes, I am. Yes, sir.
Okay, how's the vibe there? Is there a lot of other Christians there, or is it different?
No, very few. Yeah, I would say there's very few people who show much of an interest in spirituality in general. Wow. I have met some folks who are into meditation, which is awesome. I've met a few. I've actually just today was approached by a crew member of a band who said, "Yeah, I'm a Christian," and I heard you are and wanted to talk about that, which is cool. And I think we're the only band on this tour who has a Christian association. I know the guys in a band called Wage War are they're Christians, but I don't think that that's something that's maybe quite as known. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, do you share your faith from the stage at all, or is it just?
Yeah, I do. I do. Both. I would say it's somewhat integrated. I don't really preach sermons and stuff, but I definitely talk about what I believe in the reason I'm still alive, which all points back to Jesus. But I guess I'm someone who's kind of in the middle. I've been turned off by a lot of Christians who preach for long periods of time and try to sort of give a narrative to a bunch of people that they don't want to hear. And I also, though, don't have an interest in being afraid of saying something because it's not cool. So I'm kind of I don't know if you know what I mean, but I just I'm not trying to please anyone, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to be what I think a lot of Christians expect me to be, and I'm also not interested in being what some people would also want me to be, which is some dude who never talks about what he thinks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely comes across in your music, man. Very, very poetic.
Thank you.
And I'm catching a lot of the metaphors and stuff too. I actually put a lot of that in my music instead of just coming out saying it, just kind of using the artistic expression to paint this beautiful picture of your faith, man. And I'm definitely picking that up in your music.
Yeah. Thank you, man. What's your band? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm a spiritual, esoteric hip-hop artist. I have to send you some stuff, man.
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm a Christian, and kind of turned me on, dude, listening to some of your interviews and then, becoming a fan probably within the last couple weeks, actually listening to your stuff. And I first heard you guys on the Bad Christian podcast. They played a sample of one of your songs, and I heard it there, and I was like, oh my God, man. And I came home, got on social media, sent it out to all my friends, you guys got to check these dudes out, man. And everybody was blown away. It's man, like a breath of fresh air to the music scene, man. Something a little bit different, yet reminiscent of some stuff from the past as well, man, which is like I said, a breath of fresh air. It's beautiful stuff.
Wow. I really appreciate that, and that's awesome that you do hip-hop. I've always enjoyed hip-hop and always been very influenced by hip-hop.
Yeah.
and especially, I mean, just in like the pure art form of hip hop, like, you know, being where I was raised and where I'm from, like a lot of the culture that people associate with hip hop, I don't fully like understand or fully like pretend to represent, because I don't, you know, I didn't grow up in the hood. I didn't, you know, I don't know what being in the hood is really like, you know, until I was, you know, older, and I would actually like go, you know, I would try to get outside of the bubble, you know, but growing up how I did, I definitely never wanted to, you know, be like, oh, you know, hip hop, I get it, because I don't even fully get it, because, you know, obviously rap is a movement that came out of people from the inner city who wanted to tell their stories. But still, I mean, as a human being, I've been moved by it artistically. And I definitely, I think that it's factored into why I do what I do, and some of the patterns and some of the rhyme schemes and stuff, which, you know, kind of maybe I do like to flow with it a little bit. And I love rhyming, and I love, I mean, yeah, I don't know, hip hop's awesome. So it comes into play, I think, for me a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. That's what turned me on to you guys at first, when I heard those rhyming patterns and stuff, and I was like, man, this is really good. Your vocal pattern to me, man, is very reminiscent of, I hope you take this as a compliment, Aaron Wise from Me Without You, but not just him.
No,
but it's a mixture. It's a mixture of him and Andrew Schwab from Project 86, man. It's
that's
like
funny. You know, I don't
had a child, man. Like you would be.
It's funny. I can't say that I know much at all about him.
Yeah.
I do know a lot about Aaron Weiss, and Me Without You is, you know, my all-time favorite band, and you know, I think a lot of people who know who Me Without You is will say that. And you know, like there's times where kids will be, oh, you know, you remind me of like a band called Law Dispute or these different bands, and I just honestly tell me I don't know much about that band. But when it comes to Me Without You, if there's a comparison, he's definitely like the forefather. You know, and you know, hopefully I don't want to take away from what he's doing, but I've been deeply influenced by his stuff, and that's something I try to be very open about. You know, kids are like, you know, oh, dude, I want to be more like you. I'm like, yo, check out Me Without You, because that's actually like the source.
Yeah, definitely, man. Go, and you know what I'm saying, for you too, man, go check out some of the work of Andrew Schwab with Project 86. That's the band he's with. And so definitely check out the first two albums, because it's definitely more poetic, and it's got like a hip hop influence to it. Definitely check that out, man, because when I hear you, man, it's just like definitely reminiscent of some stuff that I listened to when I first got born again, and was Project 86, awesome. You know, back in the day, man. But yeah, speaking of born again, speaking of Jesus, man, I want to hear your story, man. I don't know how much you want to go into it, but like, why do you believe in Jesus, man? Like, why is he
totally,
you know what I'm saying, the focal point of your life?
Totally. You know, I'll keep it like somewhat brief, and try not to get too on tangents. But yeah, I am the son of missionaries who met in Mexico, and I didn't grow up as they were missionaries, though. They started actually an organization that helps missionaries, and my dad does grant writing and funds and helps get money to, you know, underserved Native American and Latino population throughout California. And so my dad's always had a heart for, you know, social needs and justice, and is really my hero. And you know, I grew up in a pretty small town and in California, and it wasn't until I was like 15 that I had this freak accident. I broke both my feet, and I couldn't play hoops anymore. And I was really good at basketball, and it was kind of my thing. I was planning on going to college to play, and my dream was the NBA, even though I don't know if it was ever possible. But I just always wanted to play basketball as long as I could and have that take me. And all of a sudden, I had to sit out for like a year and a half because my bones were so bad in my feet. And I tried to kill myself multiple times. I really lost control of everything and just lost my faith in God pretty much. And in that time period, I went to Haiti on a missions trip. For some reason, I just wanted to do something. And it kind of blew my mind, really changed everything for me. And, really led me to understand the love of God. It's crazy, man. It's really crazy how watching humans suffer and feeling like shit because you can't stop their suffering, and knowing that you're going to go back to America and everything's going to be fine, really just made me want to like do something, and really realizing that Christians have and will always be the people who don't give up on the poor. I mean, I'm not talking about the shit you see in evangelical America. I'm talking about like real Christians that are going out into the world and believe that humans like have the image of God and that every human life has meaning, as much as Christians get bashed for like the Crusades and a lot of stuff that's happened, which is true, Christians also started the first orphanages, the first hospitals, the first group homes, the first schools to teach kids how to read, and at least in America. And I fully, I believe that the church has done a lot of wrong stuff, but the church has also done a lot of right stuff. And I want to be part of that movement of Christians who are like standing up and like reclaiming what the gospel is actually about.
Yeah.
And, that's been my passion now, through the second half of high school and into college and grad school and now touring. And it's been a crazy road getting here, but, dude, I believe knowledge is power, and I believe I want kids to learn. I want kids to be open to ideas. I want people to be liberated, and so much ignorance, so much misogyny, so much hatred of gay people, so much hatred and misunderstanding of philosophy and of the love of God is just prevalent in the music scene that I'm in, and just wanting to like stand up and tell people what I'm about. And sometimes it kind of trips them out. It's like, wait, so like you want to speak up for gay people and you want to like talk about Jesus and you want to talk about Black Lives Matter. And it's just like, what? Like you're supposed to be one of these things, not all of them. But it's man. Dude, Jesus is integration, man. Jesus being fully human and fully God created a way that we don't have to just be categories anymore. We don't have to be either or. Like, we can be infinite, dude. And everything that's true, everything that's good, everything that's pure, that's God. And so we inherit that,
Yeah.
So, yeah, sorry for the monologue.
No, that's good stuff, dude. That's awesome that you're bringing Christ into that scene as well. And, like you're saying, your stance and your belief may not be popular with the mainstream church, but it is your stance, it is your belief, it is your story, and it is your understanding that's making an impact on the lives of people, man, and your story in general, dude. So, I mean, people can see the love of Christ, man. I'm just watching some of your interviews and hearing you talk about this Jesus who is all loving and who is
the incarnation or the eternal? Unconditional,
yeah, the unconditional love of Christ, man, because I was in a place some years ago where we taught the love of Christ, but it had conditions, right? Like we would actually preach this to people, like Jesus loves you if. And I remember there was a time where I was doing my study and I would go throughout the scriptures and find all the ifs where Jesus says, do this if you're my disciples, if, and it was all these ifs, and I made it about like works or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But then to kind of come to this awakening and this level of understanding that his love is unconditional, man, and that it is to the homosexual, it is to the liar, it is to the thief, it is to the religious right, you know what I'm saying? His love just
it is
like you know what I'm saying, to the Muslim, to the jihadist, like his love goes throughout all creation, man. And that's when you say unconditional, dude. That is so beautiful. And I think that's the gospel, dude. And that's why I wanted to have you on to kind of talk about that a little bit more.
Dude. Yeah, man. That's my passion, is talking about this. And, I mean, there's a lot of passions, and they all go back to Jesus, I believe. I have a passion for literature, for history, for random pop culture happenings that I'm stoked on, like, the ocean. And I love a lot of things. And, a lot of young people are kind of told, like, what are you, man? Like, are you into music? Are you into sports? Are you whatever? And a lot of people are like, I mean, you see a lot of young people who kind of sell themselves out to one thing because they want to belong. And a really good way to get picked on and stand out is to just like love a bunch of things and be weird and be a mixture of whatever. But that's, the incarnational nature of Jesus being the Christ is really this insane metaphysical reality where Jesus was fully God and fully human. And being a Christian, being like Christ, I think, demands that of us. Demands us to look at our life and say, am I integrated? My pastor has taught me this really interesting thought is that humans, there's been a lot of philosophical movements throughout history. Yeah. Modernism, of course, was the huge one of the Enlightenment that we discovered science and that we believe that there's categories for everything and that, atoms in just the theory that you can break things down into smaller and smaller parts. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's a big one. And then, of course, post-modernity taught us about existentialism, the idea that we all have our own realities, the idea that truth only works under operative paradigms. And if you go into other cultures, there's other truth because they have other paradigms. And I think that that's also an important movement. And now I believe the next movement for humanity it was embodied by Jesus over 2,000 years ago. And that was the incarnational movement or the integrative movement, where we're realizing that science is good, but you can't live a happy life with all your scientific knowledge. You need science, you need philosophy, you need music, you need literature, you need art. And I think that everything's going to collapse together. And that even, you see this with actually some of the best schools around America, to get all nerdy and educational with you. But, people are learning how to integrate history with art, with English, with science, with math. And we're learning that all knowledge needs to integrate with other knowledge, or else we just have a bunch of categories, And so I'm really passionate about the movement of integrationism and the integration of thought. And I believe Jesus already did that for us by showing us how to live. So, yeah.
Yeah, dude. Let me ask you this, man. And I know if it's your faith, I know you don't mind talking about it, but what you believe, is this a gospel of inclusion with the unconditional love stretching forth to everyone, whether they receive it or not? Or or is it the teaching of hell where like God is going to send people to hell if they don't accept Jesus into their heart or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is your view on that?
My view is genuinely, I don't know.
Exactly. That's a good view, man.
I don't know. When it comes to what happens after we die, I do absolutely believe that we will die, but that the experience of existence continues. I absolutely believe that. I absolutely believe in the existence of judgment. I believe in the existence of punishment. There's a lot that I believe in. I'm not interested in putting a scissors to the Bible and saying well, that kind of sounds like hell, so let's cut that out. But also I'm not interested in being another asshole Christian who's just this is definitely how it works, man. If you say this prayer, you definitely go to heaven. And if you don't say this prayer, you definitely go to hell. Because you are not being intellectually honest if you believe that you absolutely know how all of that works. No one knows really how that works except for God.
Jesus told us how it works. He told us in the Bible. You're going to hell.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Jesus will stand at the end of all time, and that Jesus will stand at the right hand of the Father and will judge us. I believe, Jesus said, "This is how I'll know the lamb from the goats," is that I was hungry and you fed me. I was sick and you took care of me. I was naked and you clothed me. I was in prison and you visited me. He says those 4 things. Yeah. And says that's how I will know the sheep from the goats. Of all of the verses in the Bible, I believe that was the most very specific and the very that is heaven, that is judgment, and that's how I will know. And then there's other, believe upon the name of the Lord Jesus Christ and you'll be saved. And we get a lot of verses, but to be honest, I don't think we have a formula. I mean, personally, I don't know of a formula. I do know of, I know who Jesus is, and I want everyone to know Jesus. Yeah. But I want people to know Jesus so that they can experience eternal life right now. Yeah. When John 3:16, for God so loved the world, only begotten Son, whoever believes in him will never perish but have eternal life. That word for eternal life was a present tense word in the Greek. And that is very important because a lot of people think of Jesus as like a heaven-hell salvation thing, and they don't know that Jesus is actually an invitation to stop dying right now and to start living real life. But man, you talk about afterlife and stuff, and I'm going to be the first person to say I don't know about a lot of stuff.
Yeah. You know what though,
because
man?
I'm trying to be honest,
Yeah, I mean, that's good. It's a vulnerable place that you put yourself in as a leader to say that you don't know, because obviously if you're part of a movement or a sect or a theology, you have to stand behind it, even if you don't believe it. You know what I'm saying? Hey,
well, especially if you're a pastor. God bless the pastors, man.
That's what I'm saying, because people are looking for answers. And so it shows you being a little vulnerable when somebody says, "Hey man, what's the answers? I'm looking for this." And you say, "You know what? I don't know." A lot of times what sucks is they're going to keep going until they find somebody who does know. But at the end of the day, it comes back to what you said. We don't know. So for you to act like you do know, like you have died and went and you know what I'm saying, all of these things, for us to sit back and be like, you know what, I don't know the answer. Because I've been a part of so many churches where they'll just make it up, or they'll just repeat something that they heard. Oh yeah, this is what happens. If you die, you're ever present with God and you're going to be with him for all eternity, or sinners go to hell. When I think it even throws a wrench into the system with the whole hell thing. As far as Old Testament, there was no literal hell in the Old Testament. Like, that's some type of New Testament concept as far as burning in a lake of fire for all of eternity. So I think we have to look at that too. I think that's something big, you know?
Dude, I'll tell you, man, it's I can't believe that so many humans have the absolute pretentious gall to tell people, like, this is exactly how heaven and hell work, even though they haven't been to heaven or hell. Yeah. You know, only the reason I'll tell people I don't know is because God knows, and I would rather have them ask God than ask me. You know, and I can tell them what I really do know and what I see as extremely true and consistent across the Bible. And frankly, I believe everything that I need to know, like, I already know for this life. You know, I believe, like, living for Jesus and following the Jesus revolution is absolutely the truest form of fully living, being fully alive and fully human and divine, following Jesus. And I know that for sure. But dude, when I die, man, like, for sure, I'm not gonna lie to you, I have fear that like Jesus will say, you know, at the end of the time, people will come and say, Lord, Lord, look at everything I did in your name. And Jesus replies, depart from me, for I never knew you. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you, dude. I'm afraid of that. Like, that could be me. that I could be that guy who's like, man, I was in Silent Planet and I talked about this stuff, you know, and I stood up for these people and I talked about this issue and I pointed to your glory, and Christ be like, dude, you never knew me. Like, I don't know that, you know, I don't think I don't wake up in existential terror about it, but I also, you know, I can't sit here and be like, dude, I got eternity figured out. Like, I don't have, that's not me. And, you know, I do know there's a lot of people who will gladly tell you that they do have eternity figured out. And I'm not here to call them out. You know, some of my best friends feel like they have it figured out. But, you know, I'll tell you what, dude, the more that you study the Bible, the more that you study theology, the more that you learn how to interpret different scriptural stuff, you'll learn pretty quickly that things aren't always airtight, that, you know, what your church told you, there is actually some discrepancies. There are some debates. That, you know, there's a lot of it. And that I think if you have experienced the goodness and the love of God, that stuff doesn't wreck you. But if your whole experience of Christianity was just being more right than all those damn atheists, then you're going to lose your faith, dude. And I see a lot of people lose their faith. I have a ton of friends that have their degrees in biblical studies who are no longer Christians.
Exactly.
I seriously do. Like, I could name like 5 people right now who have their BA in like biblical studies or ministry or theology, and they are just like, dude, like, I know nothing, and it's sometimes it's not even a cool I know nothing. Like, oh, you know, life is so full of adventure, I don't even know anymore. A lot of times it's a very dark I don't know anything. Like there's nothing. Like, it's honestly almost nihilism. Like, there's nothing. I see nothing. I look out into infinity and nothing looks back at me. It's scary.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
that's not me, by the way, but that's
I hear you, man. I think that's what's so important about one thing I heard you say in the interview was about making sure that you spend time with God, like intimacy with Jesus, right? To know that you can have that encounter with Jesus, because nobody can take that away from you. Even if people want to call that something else, like I've actually agreed if you want to call it something else, but there is something there. There is this universal power that loves us, that's guiding over us, that's intimate with us, that cares about us, man, our life and our future and our thoughts, and wants us to be happy. And you can actually spend time with that force, and it wants to hang out with you. It's like a person. It's Jesus, man. You know, so. I want you to talk about that a little bit, because you were talking about the importance of that, man, and just knowing that, hey, I can go into the prayer chamber and spend time with Jesus, really, you know?
The ability to stop what you're doing and experience infinity with infinity is, hands down, the most dramatic and revolutionary choice that we will ever make as humans.
Yeah.
You know, I really, like, and every time you make that choice, you're choosing to put away materialism. You're choosing to put away, like, you're choosing to stop and choose, like, to choose, like, actual restfulness and actual wholeness. Like, a lot of people, you know, and you see this so much with a lot of people, like, they talk about, like, getting rest, you know, and talk about, like, man, I can't wait to get off my 9 to 5 so that I can go home and watch my TV and do whatever the hell, you know what I mean? And that stuff is never restful, and that stuff never grows people, you know. It's just a thing that they can do because they think that they need to turn off their brain and they need to get off their feet. But in reality, people actually need to turn on their brain. Like, I think a lot of people actually haven't turned on their brains in months. People haven't actually had, like, a real authentic experience in a really, really long time. And, man, a really, really good way to do that is to open yourself up, to, like, stop, to breathe, to be present. In the vocabulary that I would use, because I believe, because I believe this is Jesus, you know, and other people call this, you know, the universe or whatever. The difference is the universe doesn't have a name. The universe I mean, the universe is really, technically you're saying everything, and I don't think everything is love. I mean, I think you can look all around the world and see a lot of hate, you know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's not good, but like Jesus is so good, and Jesus loves people. And I realize that, you know, anytime you say Jesus or God, people like can get turned off because of like something that's happened in their past.
Exactly.
And so if they need to use other words to experience that love first, yeah, that's fine. Like, I'm not interested in like dominating people and being like, no, it's Jesus. Stop saying the universe. Like, you know, but ultimately it is Jesus.
Yeah.
But you know, words carry so much meaning and so much baggage, and I completely understand how someone could go their whole life afraid of the name God or Jesus because, you know, they were abused in the church, or they were made fun of, or they were raped by a minister. I mean, there's so many different reasons why I could understand how people would always want to reject that. And I'm not here to, like, you know, tell those people that they suck, you know?
Yeah, exactly, man. It's awesome, dude. I think it's all about encounter, and like you were saying, as well as like having it within us, man. And so the whole story of the Old Testament, of what the prophets looked forward to, was what we have now. This relationship with Christ, being the whole mystery of the entire gospel, is Christ in us, which is the hope of glory. Like Jesus within us, that we can walk like Him, talk like Him, live like Him, forgive like Him, man. And so that's what it's about. And I think we're on the same level when I could boldly say that it's really time to stop like dissecting what He said. And, well, you know, He really meant this, or He really meant that. And just simply get out there and do what He said. Just love the unlovable. Show those who don't deserve forgiveness. Show them forgiveness. Show those who don't deserve grace. Show them grace. And do what Jesus did. I think if we do that, we'll revolutionize the world, man.
That is 110%. Like, that's just right on, man. I don't know how to say it. That's right on. Like, I think that if study is a form, if studying is a form of like, you like, you know, loving God or loving other people, or experiencing the goodness of God, that's awesome. But like, for sure, applying modernism and applying like this, like, okay, well, we're just going to examine it and cut it up and get closer and closer to it. Dude, the elusive nature of the gospel is it'll be lost on you.
Man.
You know, you'll be halfway through your magnum opus of dissecting it and realize that you have nothing, that it just disappeared. You know, it's just like trying to put something under a magnifying glass that like it's so big and it's so simple that you just don't get it when you try to like, you know, get like, when you want to control it and when you want all the answers, it's going to be lost on you. And that's the kingdom. I mean, that's the mystery of the gospel that Jesus is talking about this whole time. You know, this guy's like, I have all this money, I have everything. Jesus is like, leave it. You know what I mean? And all the scholars with all their knowledge, and then Jesus says in front of them, like, you know, you have to become like a kid if you're going to approach the kingdom. And it's just this, I mean, it's the best way to say is the upside down, you know, upside down kingdom. Yeah. One of my favorite books from Donald Crayville, but really just flipping everyone's shit upside down is what Jesus was doing, you know, and it's so revolutionary that it's still revolutionary. You know what I mean? It's not like some like, you know, thing about like something that we've like figured out as humans and that we're now like, okay, that was really a nice moment for human history. Like, it's still something that churches, as funny as it is, with all their money and buildings, don't even get. You know, churches that are supposedly dedicated to the teachings of this dude, and they don't even get it because like more money, more power, you know, more like political influence, and they just got further and further from it.
Yeah, I think because Jesus takes the power away from those guys. Like, Jesus takes the power away from that system that says, come to me if you want to learn about God. Come to me if you want me to pray for you. Even though all that stuff's good, right? But it's like, come to me. Like, I think that religion and churches teaches us that we need something outside of ourselves to get to God. When Christ came to bridge the gap between us and the Father, to make us one with the Father, right? Like, that's why he came. Yeah. So we don't need a priest. Like, Jesus is our high priest. Like, we can go directly through Christ to the Father, man. That we don't need all of these people in the way. So if your Christianity is not this one-on-one relationship with Jesus and the Father and the Holy Spirit, then I don't think it's really Christianity. I don't think it's biblical Christianity, put it that way. That it is that we don't need anything outside of ourselves, man. And I really think that that's where the power is. That, like, no matter where we are, we don't need anything that they're selling us. We don't need anything that they're trying to convince us that's outside of ourselves. That the kingdom of heaven is within us. That He placed it there, and we can go within. We can shut the door and go within our prayer closet and spend time with the Creator of the universe. Like, literally. Yeah. I know that just rolls off of our tongue. Yeah, we're spending time with God. No, the dude that created existence, man. Like, He wants to sup with you. He wants to be your friend, man. And they can't take that away from us.
It is really crazy how words can lose their meaning. And how, like, I mean, we can stop hearing things. Like, genuinely, dude, like, it's insane. Like, I spent so long, saying, like, devotion time, like hanging out with God. And that stuff honestly sounded so lame to me for so long. Yeah. Like, it genuinely, like, I don't know what I would think of when I would hear that, but I really didn't think of it, like, in the magnitude of what we're talking about, and I don't know if it's because, like, I actually didn't believe in God, and it was, like, just like God was just like a name, and so you talk about spending time with God, but it's just another word. Or I don't know if it's just because, like, you see so many, like, lame people talking about their devotion time, and obviously it's like, well, if that's what it's creating, then obviously it's not that cool. You know what I mean? I don't really know, but it's like, yeah, when you put it that way, man, it's so powerful. It's like, if we actually believe what we're saying, and you're actually going to spend time with the Creator of the universe, like, there's no way that anything's more important than that.
Exactly.
Like, there's no way that anything is even a tenth of that important. But once again, it's like, do we really believe that? You know what I mean? Do you really believe that that's possible, or that God's real, or that God loves us, or that God can be experienced, And I think the answer is a lot of people maybe can't. Maybe it is a little too far-fetched, or I don't know.
Yeah, well, so what was, like, the first time that you did know, like, once you went into that place and had an encounter? Like, did you have, like, a supernatural encounter with, like, a manifestation of the Holy Spirit, or feeling that fire that people claim that they feel when the Holy Spirit comes? Like, did you have an encounter like that with God?
Yeah, I've had a few over the course of my life that were, like, very, very radical. Mm-hmm. One of them involves actually a dude at a show broke his foot or his leg, and I prayed for it, and the pain was gone, and all of a sudden he's able to walk, and he couldn't walk like 5 seconds earlier. And that was a pretty, one of those, like, not so moments. I think there's been a lot of times when it shows when I've, like, seen people with depression or something, and they just can't get over it, and I just pray, and they just experience, like, kind of wholeness. They'll write me back, and they'll be like, dude, I don't know what it is, but, like, everything's changed, and, like, they're, like, long-term better. It wasn't just, like, an emotional thing for them at a show. But yeah, I mean, in my own life, dude, I've definitely experienced that a lot, dude. Before I go on stages, when I really, like, just get alone with God and just kind of sit there and take it all in. And those moments have always been crazy, man. Crazy in, like, a really, like, not crazy looking way. you know, like
yeah,
crazy,
like within,
crazy.
Like you're experiencing it within or something.
Yeah, exactly. Just like this peace and this wholeness and feeling like still very much in my body, but experiencing like everything at the same time, and just kind of like a warm feeling and kind of like just this peace. And it helps, honestly, because I can get on stage and I can like look at, you know, I can look at someone and, you know, they're just like, yeah, you know, you're so awesome. And I feel like the love of God for them. And like, I don't feel like any of it's about my glory. I don't feel like special or whatever. I just like feel like a vessel sometimes when we're on stage, when like, it's like, I'm not even thinking about like the music or anything. It's just like, looking at people and being like, man, like the love of God is so crazy for you. And like just wanting to invite people into that love. Mm-hmm. And every person who's just like, you're incredible, dude, I love you, you're my hero. Just telling them like, dude, I have nothing for you. Like Garrett Russell has nothing to save you or to make you a better person. There's nothing cool about me. Like I'm literally like a dude with a croaky voice who yells into a microphone. That's it. But like telling them about God and God's love is like everything to me, because man, all these kids come to these festivals and they want to be made whole, and they want to have an experience with a band member that's going to like, you know, that they can take home with them. And it's all just bullshit. Like to think that any of these band members, most of these band members don't even care about these kids, to be honest. Like they just like want to make some money or like want to hook up with some girl who's like just turned 18 or whatever. Like they don't even care about these people. They talk about them. Like you backstage, like, oh, you know, the kids love it, or like, oh my God, like they're singing what's so bad. Like they don't even respect these people. And even the ones who do care about them or respect them genuinely, like they don't have anything that's gonna like save them or like, you know, make them whole, like fix them, you know. Like only Jesus does that, man.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome, brother. You mentioned Franz Fanon, man, in one of your interviews, and he has that quote on cognitive dissonance, man, and that, like, the first time I heard that, I looked into it and looked that quote up. I was blown away, man. But it's so true. Like, what is some of his philosophies and work? How does that reach out to you?
Yeah, the work that he did was like really early, like liberation psychology, you know, and being an African American man in France, like probably trying to think, not a century ago, but almost actually, I think. But he was talking a lot about culture and power and like the monolith of like the icon of power that kind of the gaze of those who have versus those who do not, and talked a lot about, I mean, a lot of the stuff he had to say about being an African, being a descendant of Africa, being an African French guy, but talked a lot about African American conditions. Just really kind of blew my mind that there's, and I had to read a bunch of this stuff in grad school for this like theoretical psychology course I was taking. But basically, this idea that we, as a human species, have still like kind of loaded value into this color of people's skin and where they're from, and that really kind of rocked me to the core. I don't know, like a lot of his work kind of challenged me about how I see people, how I value people based on what they have, or even what they look like subconsciously, and subconscious racism. And so his work definitely, especially in the song "No Place to Breathe," was pretty relevant for me.
Definitely into his work. I guess to kind of change it up a little bit, man, because we like to get into some esoteric, deep, mystical type topics as well, man. We're like talking about spirituality and stuff. What are your thoughts on aliens and UFOs, man?
Dude, to be honest, I don't have much thoughts on it. I haven't thought about that much, besides the fact that it's always seemed pretty apparent to me that life would exist outside of Earth, because of the infinite nature of God and the ever-expanding universe. That I believe life would exist in so many forms in so many different situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it does, man. Just whenever we break down like to the smallest level with the high-powered microscope, you can look in the river and see all of these microscopic organisms that exist, and you can't see them with the naked eye. You have to have a trained eye, which is some type of magnifying glass, to be able to see them, and then just understanding other dimensions as far as the spirit realm that exist the same type of way. These other entities and forces and energies on the other side that exist, man. You haven't had any encounters with anything like that, though? Any spiritual encounters, or whether it's, demonic or angelic or anything like that?
Yes. No, for sure. Yeah. Experienced a decent amount of dark shit for sure. And there's undoubtedly a very, very, very like dark presence to be found in like the music touring world, Mm-hmm. A lot of scene kids with like tattoos and piercings who like want to seem tough, so they start talking about like dedicating themselves to Satan and all these dark forces because they think it's badass, or they think like mom and dad are gonna like think I'm really crazy now. And in reality, though, they're actually inviting a lot of really bad stuff into their lives, And I'm not saying like, oh, you're gonna go to hell. I'm talking about like you're gonna experience like like you're gonna experience pain and injury and addiction and bad relationships and disease, sexual diseases and physical diseases and death in your family, suicide. Like you're inviting real problems that we can all agree suck. You know what I mean? Like 99% of people would agree that everything that I just mentioned is really, really bad. Like in no way, shape or form are any of these things that you want in your life. I think that people are going to agree. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe kids think they're cool, but I think most kids would agree like, like your dad shooting himself in the head isn't that cool. You know what I mean? And when you invite darkness into your life, you experience darkness. I don't believe the theory of evil that Einstein and St. Augustine talked about. That evil is just the absence of good, and that like evil is the absence of good. I believe evil is its own thing. Yeah. Kind of like the idea of dark matter or something. Mm-hmm. That darkness is more than absence. It can actually be matter that's physically experienced. I believe in that. I believe that that people can invite that into their life and quickly experience these things. And I also believe that the name of Jesus rocks that stuff and just sends it out completely. And there's even there's a group on Warped Tour who like their whole thing is like satanic clothing and like satanic messages and like getting people all like hooked up with like their inner like demons and stuff or whatever. And it's really stupid because it's real, but I don't obviously think they think it's real. If they didn't think it was real, they wouldn't do it. But I mean the occult, dude, that kind of stuff exists absolutely. And I think I believe in the existence of a lot of forms, a lot of like non-human forms. I don't even think it's just angels or demons. I think there's a lot of forces. I think they all bow down to the God that I worship. Yeah. But I don't even believe in like, are you with Satan or are you with God? I think there's all sorts of groups, all sorts of, I guess, spiritual beings, angelic and demonic, that have their own sort of agendas and work in different people's lives. And absolutely, I think humans can tap into them. But I also believe that there's only one that actually loves them and will save them from like the eternal like pit of themselves. So I believe, I don't know if we touched on this, but I personally believe that hell is a lot closer. Hell's a lot closer to home than just this place you go and you die. I believe hell, we can actually find it in ourselves. And a lot of psychology and a lot of like studying like hardcore depression and hardcore like schizophrenia. I've seen people like find hell in their own mind and not be able to get out. And actually, it's why on the back of our album is a quote from R.D. Laing, who was like an existential psychologist, and he said that madness can either be liberation or annihilation inside the self. And I believe there's a very, very, very fine line between experiencing like the love and the goodness of God and also like giving your life over to something much darker. Because in both ways, you're experiencing things that can't be physically measured, but are extremely real and want to invade your space, you know, and you can open yourself up to these.
Much like those microscopic organisms that affect us and live on our bodies and live off of our dead skin and affect us, and we get sick from them if we don't clean ourselves from these things. I think it very much works the same way in the spirit realm with these disembodied entities, you know, that aren't ghosts, that aren't angels or demons, but they exist, man, and they feed off of different energies, and they have a role, and they have an agenda, and they have things that they do. It's just like the natural flow of the universe, which, you know, I think the Bible backs that up a lot, man. Definitely with like different spirits going forth to do things in the earth, as far as like to, you know, confusion and joy, like all of those are spirits as well. You know what I'm saying? Like a spirit of confusion, a spirit of fear. Like these are these spiritual life forces that can go down and be upon a region, be upon a person, and they can also be lifted through Christ. Because like you said, they all bow down to Christ. They all must bow at his feet. He is the head of every principality and power, man. But when you get into studying those things, man, I do believe that that God and Christ use those other entities as well, as far as you know, whether it's some type of spirit of breakthrough or something like that. These other spirits that are mentioned of in the Bible, you know what I'm saying? Evil spirits as well, man. There's, you know what I'm saying? They have their place, dude. Like evil spirits in a person's life have their place to buffet them and show them, look, the only way I can do it is through Christ or whatever. Like I can't make it any other way. So almost like he will send them out there to let you deal with them, to teach you a lesson, to say, look, I can't, there's no way I can exist outside of the presence and will of God. So, you know, those things were in your life for a reason, taught you something, and they're expelled through Christ. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, absolutely, man.
It's really deep and intricate, man, when we get into those theologies of what the Bible talks about with these other forces like that. You know?
It is. No, it is. And I think I think people are just starting to, I don't know if that's what people are just starting to discover it, but I definitely think that people are, a lot of people, it takes them a long time of living, whether they're coming from the approach of like the occult or just scientists or it's Christians, they're realizing that there's a whole universe that like we aren't quite tapping into. But I actually do believe that science will sort of point us towards these things a little bit, actually, in that these things, while not like completely like something that you would read in like the textbook or, you know, they might not be like the most, they might not be current to the science that we now have, but I think at some point science is going to start intersecting with these things that we're talking about, and that's when it's going to get really weird. And all the laws and everything are going to have to go in the trash because they won't like fit how the world works in other universes, you know?
Yeah.
Or I guess the multiverse. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the veil's kind of actually getting thin on a global level just by seeing the consciousness of the people, even just looking at the elections, like what's going on with the consciousness of the people with our leaders. People are like, wait, this is what we have to choose from? Like, we didn't put these people up there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're making me choose between these people, but I honestly don't know many people that would, if given a choice, they would put those people on the pedestal, man. And I think people are waking up and like, man, there's got to be another way. This shit is not working, you know?
Absolutely. There has been an undeniable move away from like the idea that our leaders are gods and our leaders are perfect. Yeah. And I mean, you know, you see that throughout the Middle Ages, you know, and you still see that in other cultures where people like worship their leaders as gods and see them as like flawless and perfect. And obviously they still teach that in North Korea, you know, but that was throughout history. The Pope or like people talking about kings, you know, being like, you know, kings being like chosen from God to rule. So obviously their sons would be, because their sons would be the closest to God because their sons are the bloodline. And you see all these ideas that are really incompatible with like critical thought, you know what I mean? And incompatible with like a just society. And now, like the next movement is absolutely, in my opinion, going to be towards, it's going to start happening when you have awful leaders like Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, who are both like vying for the presidency. And they're both clearly terrible people, like just bad humans, like humans that like have just divorced themselves from their own humanity and chosen to kill people, to steal from people, to do whatever they had to do to like gain control and to gain power. You know what I mean?
Capitalism at its finest.
Yeah, capitalism at its finest. Exactly. No. Yeah, capitalism at its finest, dude. And you finally see people that are like rejecting. People are finally being like, you know, I was always a hardcore Republican or a hardcore Democrat, but you know, I don't want to be part of the problem anymore. And I don't mean to be like too radical, but I believe if you vote for Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, you're part of the problem. I don't know how else to say it. Like you're contributing to the stupid thought that like we're stuck within a binary. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, anyways, all that to say, I think that as silly as it is, this dumb presidential race is going to challenge people to get into a new era of thinking, you know?
Yeah, it definitely is, man. There's something going on. We're on the cusp of a lot of stuff. Being on the cusp of something else with this whole thing, augmented reality, man, and Pokemon. Are you playing Pokemon?
Dude, I'm not. Everyone else on Warped Tour is, but I happen to not be.
Yeah. It's something different, man. It is the game changer right now as far as bringing everyone into this new reality or like bringing people together as far as where technology is going and stuff too, man. It's really interesting.
It's crazy. It is genuinely crazy, man.
Yeah. Let me ask you about this, man. What are your thoughts on psychedelics? Because I know that there's this resurgence of people like wanting to go back to nature, to the religion of the ancients, man, and kind of pushing Christianity to the side, pushing all religion to the side, and just getting back to nature. What are your thoughts on whether it be ayahuasca, DMT, or psilocybin? Have you done any research, or have you had any experiences with that?
I've never even partaken in like alcohol, or let alone like anything else like marijuana or whatever.
Oh.
But I have read a lot of, I forget the one guy, the really smart like dude who like said that like shrooms are a form of evolving our consciousness and believed that like Terrence McKenna, and the idea that, you know, like obviously shrooms were instrumental in creating humans as we are today. I don't have a bone to pick with that, obviously, personally. Obviously, you know, I do think if you take a poison plant, you're going to have some pretty crazy experiences, but it's hard for me to believe that those things would be real instead of just actually making your brain see incredible, crazy things. it's hard for me to believe that they're like substantial. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you done any?
What do you think?
I've had 3 encounters with psilocybin, and they were beautiful encounters, man. There were encounters with God, and I've done them with Christians as a Christian, and I'm starting to talk about it a little bit. That we were listening to Bethel music on mushrooms, dude.
Wow!
It was so beautiful. We're just crying, and you can feel the music moving through your body, and just you kind of experience all the emotions. Like we were just loving God and just so thankful. I can feel it now even talking about it. But it was just a beautiful encounter, man. It was awesome, and yeah. There's not a.
My question.
Go ahead.
My question for you is, do you want to do that often then? If like you really feel like you encountered God in like a very real way?
No. It's something that when you do it, there's so much information that comes through about who you are, about reality, about eternity, that it's going to take you a long time to actually process everything that you got, that you're actually able to hold on to. So, yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to do it all the time, but to go into that state, and if you have something that you're looking for, if you want the encounter, I would definitely say do your research. It's not a party drug at all. I believe it's a sacrament. But yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah,
man, that is a crazy thought. I think a lot of Christians would crucify you for saying that.
Oh, they already have, man. I've put some of it in my music and stuff too, but like I said, if we don't talk about it, then it's just going to be on the back burner. But I've noticed that as I am talking about it a little bit here and there, that people are on the same page. I believe that there's a lot of people who have been studying McKenna and studying and listening to Joe Rogan, and they're interested as a Christian. Like they feel like this is calling them as a Christian. It's like, oh, hold on, that's pharmakia, that's drugs. We can't deal with that, but to really get past that and do it. But if it's calling you, it's calling you, and there's no way you can get away from it. But if it isn't, I wouldn't want to promote it to anybody. You know what I'm saying? Just to go out and do it as a party drug. But if it's calling you, it's calling you, and you have to do it if it's calling you. But it's just how God works, man.
Dude,
just
so you would say, so you would say it's a sacrament.
Go ahead. Say it again.
All right. So I'm sorry. I'm currently in line to get some food, and they're blasting like stupid party music at this place. So, anyways, all that to say, I just want to get that clear. So you would say it's a sacrament.
I would say it's a sacrament. I would say that it's not. I would say that you're not mixing anything. It's put here. You know what I'm saying? It's natural. But it's to definitely be respected. It's not to do in the wrong settings. Like everything has to be right. You know what I'm saying? So it was beautiful for me.
Yeah.
But I could see, but with that being said, I could see how it could actually turn bad for people doing it in the wrong setting. It's definitely not to be done as a party drug.
That's crazy. I've honestly never heard anything like that, and I'm very fascinated. Okay. Can you give me like 10 seconds? Just give me 1 sec. Yeah, they're like blasting music here. I just grabbing some quick food. They have like a barbecue. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. I grabbed some food. I'm getting away from the line now.
Awesome.
Yeah, dude. I've never heard of any of this stuff that you're talking about, and it's honestly blowing my mind right now.
Wow. Yeah, man. I mean, if you've listened to McKenna, I mean, you've heard some of it, man. It's really deep, and it would be a whole nother discussion to go into it. But it changed. It took me to another level. I'll say that. Like when we're talking about eternity, like my view of eternity changed as a believer when I did it, because I felt like I experienced eternity. Like I felt like I went to the place where we go when we die. And it wasn't like hell or nothing like that. I believe it was just it was beautiful, man. The colors, the lights, the love, just the love in general. I mean, that's why I was crying, just because of the love of God, man, experiencing it to that level. Like I said, I mean, it was all Christians who did it. We went out and took a trip with some brothers, and everybody had like some breakthrough they were dealing with. One guy was dealing with drug addiction that, you know, they have the research out there now that's saying that it's helping people quit smoking. It's helping people who are alcoholics, helping people kick heroin and opiate addiction and stuff like that, man, just by using psilocybin. And yeah, it's so and especially if it's illegal, and we see what the government's, you know, this government wanting to keep something like that away from the people. Why? I mean, they let you drink as much alcohol as you want and get behind a car.
Don't get me wrong. Get me wrong. Like, I've never partaken in weed or drinking ever.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not because the government was like, don't do it. I mean, obviously, I turned 21 and the government's like, yeah, poison yourself, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Become addicted, go out on bars, you know what I mean? Like, everything, like, and something that I love about the straight edge movement is that it is very anti-authority towards, like, the idea that, like, I'm supposed to become, like, a dumb consumer, you know? The problem with the straight edge movement is it just stops at, well, just be sober. Just be sober. But it's like, you know, the Bible, I mean, shows Christians often being not sober because the Holy Spirit gives us an extremely not sober experience, you know, when the Spirit falls upon us. But as far as what you're talking about with the psychedelics, it's definitely a fringe thing. And obviously, you know that. I have the illusion that people see that. But I don't think that makes it wrong at all. And it sounds to me clearly like it's not about it's not a drug thing.
Not at all. It's a medicine. No, it's a medicine for the most part, you know. And like I said, I believe that it'll call you, if you're supposed to do it, it'll call you. There'll be research everywhere you look. You'll have this inner curiosity about it. I mean, that's what happened to me. I was scared to death because I actually came out of really dark Satanism and occultism in the past, and was like embodied by demons and stuff, and like had my mind taken away from me back when I was a teenager. And so I didn't want to, you know, recreate.
You didn't want to fall back into that.
No, I was scared to death that if I did mushrooms, then I was giving myself over to demons. So I was scared to death, even though that I was so infatuated with, you know, all these interviews and listening to Joe Rogan and his experience, and Aubrey Marcus and Amber Lyon with Reset.me, who was at the end of her rope, and then she left and went on the ayahuasca trip, and to hear her encounter and how it changed her life. And she was like a reporter for CNN and had all this money and just gave it all up. When you're talking about being removed from materialism, do a couple grams of psilocybin and you'll be removed from everything. You know what I'm saying? And when you come back, you're like, man, why was I so worried about this bullshit? Why was I worried about my looks? Why was I worried about my future? And when we're talking about being in the now and being in that meditative state, you're in the now. And that's what it teaches you that. It teaches you to be in the now every single moment, because that's the only moment that you have. Nothing else exists except this present moment that me and you are here having this conversation and sharing this beautiful space.
It seems to me that these things would require a very high level of spiritual maturity.
It does,
because it'd be very easy for the drug to become God to someone, or the drug to become like God, or the drug to just become a drug. You know, it would be a drug, unless if you really knew, I guess, who you are and who God is. Before going into that. And I could imagine that a lot of the ire that people would have towards taking that substance would be because, I don't know, I mean, we live in a very spiritually immature and a very spiritually weak place. And so you take your average dude off the street who's like, hey, I want to have like a deeper experience in life, but they just might not have at all the cognitive or philosophical tools to take that. And so then they're just left with like, I took a drug and it was crazy. And if I'm ever going to be happy, I got to do that drug again.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. So there's a lot of
and
people,
that's a drug.
Yeah, there's a lot of
it's a drug when you make it a drug, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So go ahead.
No, there's a lot of people who are like atheists, and then they go on a psilocybin trip with some friends, and they come back believing in God. They're like, you know what? I don't know what its name is. I don't know what it looks like, but something, an intelligence created all of those things I just seen, all of the energy that I felt, and there is a creative intelligence behind it. They may say I'm not calling it God or Jesus or whatever, but they believe in something outside of themselves that's watching over us and working through us. But like I say too, I have to balance it when I talk about this, like we're doing, is to give Jesus the glory, man. Because if there is any love that you experience in that state, that Jesus, like we said, is he is love. Like God is love. Jesus is love manifested in a person. So. With all that being said, the psychedelic journeys or whatever, like they're so beautiful, but Jesus is beautiful, man. Like having those encounters like with that is its own separate experience, but it doesn't trump getting by yourself and getting in the prayer closet and, like you said, experiencing eternity there without anything else. You know what I'm saying? So I always have to kind of balance it out and just let people know, because you have your people who will kind of, you know what I'm saying, just do the mushrooms and just want to do it every weekend, or this is what connects us to God. No, man, like that's not how it works. Like it's about
or even just doing mushrooms just to escape reality, which is even worse.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
just not even believing in anything, but being like, well, these shrooms definitely make me not have to deal with sitting in my room right now. So
yeah,
you know,
but at the same time, there's this notion that Jesus helps us escape reality as well. You know what I'm saying? That like that experience with Jesus, he shows us like how to cope with reality, like the true meaning behind it.
Well, yeah, and even further, I believe that Jesus, in a way, shows us reality for what it really is.
Exactly.
Which, I mean, I most people you meet who like get really far into following Jesus will tell you both about the extremely dark stuff that they've seen and the beautiful things they've seen, because they actually have eyes to see now. Mm-hmm. And instead of just, you know, walking through both fire and ice and just not feeling anything, they feel the fire and they feel the ice. You know what I mean? They feel the extremes of life. And in a way, they experience spiritual darkness because they've always been experiencing it, but now they actually know that it's darkness, and they're looking at the darkness. You know what I mean?
That's a hard place to be and still function in the church world, man. That really is.
It is.
I went to a church the other day because I actually started out doing gospel music, right? And then so I got into philosophy and theology and awakening as a Christian. I never lost my faith. I may have looked into Hinduism or looked into what other people believe or whatever, and even saw beauty in that. And I think what changed my mind and my perspective was the fact that I seen other people following Christ more intimately and closer than those who claim to be Christian. And that really blew my mind, because I was told that they can't. But then I see people walking in the fruits of the Spirit, which is evidence that you're spending time with Jesus, is that you're going to have fruits of that, because that's how Christ told us to judge, is by the fruit. So even with the psychedelic journey, like for me, it was just, I judge it by the fruit. What is the fruit that came out of that experience? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it ego? Was it flesh? But I judge everything by the fruit. That's what Jesus said. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all you have to hang around somebody long enough, you'll partake of their fruit. But with that being said, man, I had my awakening doing gospel music. Kind of got crucified by that crowd when I started talking about, you know, 'cause I talk about spirituality and I changed the wording and stuff. Even though I'm a Bible believing Christian, like I changed the word. I talk about spirits in my music and everything we're talking about right now. And but I went to church this past weekend for a concert, a buddy of mine, and it was so weird being there with everything that I've learned throughout the years, and then being able to discern and see, and then still try to act normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I'm just here for the concert. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And still try to be like, see the fake smiles and the fake handshakes and all that stuff.
Oh,
and,
dude.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
and try to be cool and be peaceful. Yeah. And also people know who I am. They know I talk about psychedelics. They know all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it was a really weird place for me, but I did that. And
well, here's what something that I think you agree to is, the famous Martin Luther quote, "The church may be a whore, but the church is my mother." That always stuck with me, that quote.
Yeah, that's good.
I see the church is whoring itself right now. Like, it's willing to accept people like Donald Trump, like disgusting, ugly little fascists. And I don't mean ugly as far as his face. I mean, like, everything about the way that he presents reality is ugly and disgusting.
Yeah.
And a disgusting fascist man, is presenting something evil. And the church is like, well, we'll take him. You know what I mean? We'll get behind him. And the church is being a whore. The church is literally taking this incredible revolution and saying, "Now we'll settle for Donald Trump." And it's just like it's the church is being a whore. And I don't use that word to shame women. I mean that in the full meaning of it. Yeah. The definition of the word. The church is being a whore. But I still believe that Christ has called us to still, like, not abandon the church. And obviously you're there. I mean, I know that that's something you understand because you're going to church and you're still loving on people and you still want to talk about Jesus and stuff, even though most of these people would just, like, the moment you leave, be like, well, he's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They would slander you. They would say that you have no place in the kingdom of God.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the call of a disciple, man. They did it to Christ too. You know what I'm saying? They did it to his disciples, man. They said he was casting out demons by the order of Beelzebub. You know what I'm saying? So, this is the the founder of our faith, man. This is the one we follow. Yeah. And he said that a servant is not greater, than the master. And I think it's safe to talk about this on this show because the people listening to this, especially an hour and 20 minutes in, and they're still here, like, they're listening because they resonate with the things that we're talking about. And so there's all of these displaced Christians, man. These Christians who may be into psychedelics, or Christians who may see Christ in a form of Hinduism or whatever the case is. I don't know where people are in their journey, but I know that people listen to this podcast from all walks of life, man, and they're here for a reason, listening. And so your story in general, it's awesome to talk to you, dude, because I resonate with you. It's very similar to mine. And, a lot of the things you're saying, I'm just like, yep, it's right on, man.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate your heart for discipleship and connection. And, something that I really thought of when you started talking about psychedelics is I wonder what the effect of them on the body is. Because I think that would largely probably drive my theory on it. That obviously if psychedelics do potentially harm the body. Yeah.
Okay. I've actually got a song. I've got a song that's actually named after what the psychedelic does to your brain. It's a phenomenon called neurogenesis. Psilocybin is actually rewiring your brain, your neurotransmitters to work properly, man. It's literally regrowing brain cells. Neurogenesis. Look that up with psychedelics whenever we're talking about what it does to the body, what it does to the mind.
So you would say that it's medicine, both not just spiritually, but you're also saying biologically, like in a very physical, real, like, can be measured by scientific tool way.
Oh yeah, I mean, even if we look at what it's doing to those who are being delivered from addictions, man, just by having a psychedelic experience through psilocybin or ayahuasca, like it's really changing people's lives, and you know what I'm saying, what's doing it is this encounter with love is the weird thing. But so I think there's a piece of Christ in it, because I think that anything that has to deal with love and blessings and honor on this planet is Christ, man. I believe that's what he is. And whatever you want to call it, that's why I don't give a damn about the names we call it, even though I do call him Jesus, man. But anything that is beautiful is him, man. I believe that with all my heart.
Man, I just want to say this because I just got a text from a friend. His name's Cameron. He probably watches every interview that I do. Probably listens to everything. I've done interviews that like were very bad and like just kind of a joke almost, and he's still like tuned into them and like commented on it. And he's not a fan. I don't believe in fans. I don't know.
Family.
I think the whole fan thing is bullshit because what it creates is a dichotomy or a hierarchy, where like they're lucky to like get to interact with me or something. And I don't believe that. I believe I'm lucky to do this.
Exactly.
And I'm lucky to know them. And so, yeah, I believe in family. I call them lovers, as you know, often. I call people lovers who listen to our music because I believe that what defines us isn't what we know, isn't what we do, but actually what we love and how we love and what we choose to love. And that's what ultimately makes us human is love. So I call people lovers. But anyways, my friend Cameron just texted me. He lives in Canada. And he just said, at the hospital in unbearable pain, please pray for me. And he's been battling cancer and a bunch of stuff his whole life, and has an extremely difficult physical and mental stuff that he's gone through. In some ways, Cameron is like a modern day Job, where just when he thinks the suffering's better, it gets 10 times worse, and has dealt with like the depths of despair, and dealt with genuinely wanting to kill himself because the pain is just ridiculous. Like the pain it's legitimately evil. It's like that kind of pain that is just unrelenting. And as you know, I mean, pain changes everything. Like pain is, if you put a human in enough pain, you can rewire their brain, and probably in a pretty harmful way. And he's gone through so much pain and suffering, and it's not right. It's so evil. I just want to invite you to pray with him right now.
Yeah.
Because
I'll definitely pray. This is what we'll do. I'll pray. You pray, and then I want you to pray a blessing over the people listening as well. We'll do that, okay?
Absolutely.
All right.
Sounds
Father,
great.
I thank you, Lord God, for your grace and for your mercy. Lord God, I just thank you even again that Jesus is so beautiful. We just praise you, Lord Jesus, because you're beautiful. Simply because you're beautiful, Lord God. And Father, in your beauty, Lord God, I'm just asking you to move upon Cameron even now, God, with the blessing, Lord God. Send forth your healing hand, God. Send forth your word. Even now, Father, you said you sent forth the word to heal him, Father. I just pray you bless him even now, God. Let him feel your tangible presence, God. I speak healing to his body right now in the mighty name of Jesus. We speak it. We believe it. We receive it, Father God. We thank you that we are the manifestations of the sons of God, Lord God, walking boldly on the earth, Father God. We speak healing over our brother in Jesus' mighty name. In Jesus' name, amen. Praise you, God.
God, thank you so much for Cameron and all the Skype calls and FaceTimes that we've had, and how you used him instrumentally in this album to make me feel emotions that were dark, but that I needed to feel, and I needed to hear his story, and I needed to reconnect with the suffering of other people amidst the privilege that I have, and I don't even deserve. Just bless Cameron as he's hurting. May he someday, God, may he know why he suffered. So may he see the suffering, and may he also wave farewell to it, and not hate it, not fear it, but see it and say goodbye to it and walk away from that. And if that's right now, that would be amazing. That would be the greatest gift that you could give me, God, if Cameron could stop hurting. Even for the night, God, even so you can just go to bed and just sleep. He could sleep, and those medications could wear off, and he could just experience your love, and apart from all the stuff they have him on. God, you love him so much. You love Cameron so much. Thank you. Love you. Thank you. Thank you for this podcast. Thank you for a brother that I can talk to amidst a parking lot of people just taking in alcohol and sex and drugs and just useless bullshit. Bless all these people in this parking lot. Bless all these people on Warped Tour who are chasing after a carrot that's being held in front of them, they won't find happiness, and maybe it's going to take them a long time, but may they find the wholeness that you've shown me and my brother. You're so good. You're so eternal. I live for these moments where I can talk with my brother, a brother who I just met, who I'm having this podcast with. God, thank you for Derek. Thank you for his ministry. Thank you that I get to be a part of this. And may all our divisions fall short, and all of our names and all of our glory and everything. Yes. May we realize how foolish it is, and may all that's left be your love. Thank you, God. Amen.
Beautiful, man. Yes, that's what's up, dude. Man, thanks so much for coming on, dude. I don't know much of your backstory. I've honestly just really been listening to you guys for just a very short period of time, but so I don't know as far as like in the metal scene where you guys are as far as popularity and stuff. I don't know how big you are, but I know you're really, really good, really talented at what you're doing, and you're on the Warped Tour. But
to be honest, man, this might kind of seem interesting to you, and I want to tell you this because it's how I see it, and I've just realized that we're kind of like the dark horse in this genre, where like we've been coming up for a while now, and like, you know, the people who are really into this style of music, Christian or not, they've been kind of like whispering about it, you know, like, what's this band doing, you know, because we're playing heavy music, but both like song and structure, like the tones that we create, the structure, the lyrics. I by no means do I have any interest in saying that it's better or worse than other bands, but it's different. It's fairly different.
It is.
And people can obviously listen to it on a surface level and say it reminds them of something, but if they spend enough time with it, or if they listen through 3 or 4 songs, they're going to kind of quickly not know what to classify it as. And so it's led us to the situation where we're on Warped Tour, and they just gave us a half offer. And they're just honestly kind of like, you know, whatever, you know, enough people have talked about it, and like, fine, we'll do a small offer. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate it, but if you're this far into the podcast, I think by now, I think you know where we're coming from. So I can just say this. Mm-hmm. We're selling a lot more merch than just about every band of all these hundreds of bands. And these bands are like big, and they have celebrities, and they have big merch tents and all the bells and whistles. And people are coming to we're having more people at our shows on our small stage, and more people are buying shirts and CDs and like asking for more and coming to these signings. And it's kind of this silly thing where like nothing about the way this festival's set up is really supposed to encourage the growth of this band. But it's happening. It's happening. Yeah. And people are just kind of like, I mean, don't get me wrong. The festival's not like, oh, damn it. You know, like they don't want us to fail. But we're not in the middle. You know, we're on the side. And the founder of the festival even has like made some remarks, and they're just kind of like, what's going on? Like this, none of this makes sense. And it's so fun to just be like, dude, that's the love of Jesus. And it's just like, okay, you know, you can shut up with that shit. You know what I mean? Like, what's really going on? But it's like, dude, honestly, like, Jesus is a revolution. And like, I'm so sorry that people have diluted the gospel message to this piss poor thing that it is. But dude, like, man, like, it is genuinely like so much greater than anything that people can even grasp at. And even my bandmates and the people who work with us, like, man, I struggle every day for them to come into like a fuller view of eternity, as do I. And one dude in my band, Thomas, actually has a way deeper understanding of all this stuff than I do. You should have him on at some point. He's actually had some experiences with some of the stuff substances you're talking about. Okay. And Thomas is where I've been like kind of like very cognitive and very rational. Thomas is more emotional. And so I would say as far as the ministry of our band goes, me and him are kind of the 1-2 punch as far as like talking to people. Don't get me wrong, my other guys are, way more talented than I am and a big part of the band. But Thomas and I, as far as like relational and emotional and like really talking to people at shows and bands, we're kind of like a team, you know. He's like, yo, I talked to this person, what do you think? And it's really cool. And Thomas actually gets married in a month, and my prayer is that he sticks with the band, you know, because Without Thomas, I'd kind of lose my spirit animal, so to speak. But
What's up, dude? I mean, there was so much more that we can get into on the podcast. Like, I just want to even just break down the album art, because I think we should do a whole show just dedicated to the album art and really going into the colors that you chose with like each emotions behind it and why you chose that for the songs, and like the power behind that as well, man. Like, there's so much that you guys put into it. Even reading some of the comments, people were giving you guys so much props that all of the thought process that went into the songs and went into the album art and your videos and everything. So that's so dope, man.
Dude, thank you.
All right,
thank you so much, dude. I'm at a loss for words, honestly, man.
No, it's, dude, what you guys are doing, like, I see it, man. I see it, and I'm on the train, dude. I really like what's going on, and the fact that you're being you. You're not being somebody else. You're not being Francis Chan. You know what I'm saying? You're being you, and you're being real, and that's what kids are relating to. That's what people are relating to. That's why you're on the podcast, dude, because listening to your music, I went through a bunch of interviews, so it's like, man, you got to talk to him. I really like where this guy's headed. And, you know, with me saying, as far as not knowing where you guys are on the list of celebrity or whatever, you guys are headed to big places, man. Like, whatever you're experiencing now, like, dude, you and what you're doing with the band, dude, it's a beautiful thing.
It's so funny. It's so funny because the money and the popularity, I really don't give a shit about it. Like, I don't. And it's cool because what God did, you know, I started this when I was 19. And if we would have been on this tour when I was 19 or 20, I would have got so much of my, like, so much of my ego would have been informed by the popularity of my band. You know what I mean? That would have been my identity. And now it's funny because absolutely the band's a big part of my identity because it's all I do.
Yeah.
But not in a way that, like, popularity changes that identity. You know what I mean? Like, or money. Like, so, like, the band's a lot of my identity, but it's in a way that's not, like, I think unhealthy or, like, and it's a kind of cool identity, and it's a situation where, like, I'm genuinely curious to see where our band goes, not because it's going to make me feel better about myself or because I'm going to get rich. I want to know where our band is going because there's no like path that we're following. Like, there's an awesome Christian band called For Today, and they're awesome, and I know all about their path. I've been friends with them for so long. But, like, me and the For Today guys know, like, okay, that's not our path, you know? Yeah. And any other band, or, like, there's a technical metal band that's called Lastsleep, that's out there that sometimes we sound like. And that's not our path. I saw that path, and it's not our path. And so we don't know what the path is. And it's this crazy thing where, like, I have to trust God and, like, only God, because, like, managers or booking agent people, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I love our manager and our booking agent, but just in general, like, music industry people has been like, you know, this is what's going to happen. And then they're dead wrong. They're dead wrong. They're just wrong. And they're like, and they're embarrassed, and they don't talk to me about it anymore because they realize, like, dude, we like thought that we knew what it was, but like, dude, when the Holy Spirit gets involved, like, shit goes crazy, dude.
Yeah. Whenever he gives you vision, man. Yeah.
It does. Dude, by the way, there's something else I want to say. There's a lyric on our new album, and I think it's like kind of where you're at. And God gave me this lyric. It was very much just put in my palms. But I was gifted with the vision, but I was cursed. I was gifted with the vision, man, but cursed to be the witness.
Dude,
and I think that's you. I think that's you. You know, I think that you have a vision, and it's a gift and a curse. You know what I mean? Like, what you've seen, because you're the witness to a lot of dark things, and you're the witness to all the hypocrisy and the fake smiles. But it's also a gift, and you know, I don't know. So anyway,
dude, like that's definitely one of the lyrics that's been sticking out to me. Jamming the album and stuff, making my wife listen to it, and she, you know what I'm saying? It's beautiful stuff, dude. Thanks so much for that, dude, for even just, you know what I'm saying, dedicating that to me. That's awesome. But yeah, I want to have you on again soon, man, and I'm going to send you some of my music. I want you to check it out, and maybe if you like it, man, I don't know if you've ever done a hip-hop track, man, but if you're feeling the vibes, man, maybe we can put something together and get you on a feature.
It's so funny. My band has always been like, you need to do hip-hop stuff. And like, just in general, I've always been slow to like do new things because I don't want to take away from what the Lord's doing with this and seem like someone who's like trying to like be an opportunist and branch out in 10 different ways. But like being someone who loves hip hop and like loves words, like I would honestly be honored to be a part of whatever you're doing. And like, dude, if you have something and you really feel like that, it's what it needs to be. Like, let me know. I honestly, like, after this conversation, I feel, I definitely feel a very closeness in spirit, and it's cool because I don't even know, like, we probably would disagree about a million things, but I think we're at this place of loving Jesus that, like, that's the thing, like, we don't need to agree on stuff. We don't need to agree on anything, whether it's psilocybin or how heaven or hell works. It's just like, dude, it's just like loving God, man.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, definitely, dude. Because I'm totally inspired by you and what you're doing, and not just you, but the band. I know the band is bigger than you, and I know that like you guys now represent something else. Like, you know what I'm saying? You guys are like a symbol for something else. It's not about you guys anymore. And so I'm really inspired by it. I go through the YouTube comments. I see how people are responding, and when you guys come down south, I'm gonna definitely shake your hand. And
where do you live?
Come to a show. I'm in Alabama.
Oh, cool. What city?
Mobile.
Oh, dude, you know that Maddie.
Maddie lives over here.
Before today lives there.
Yeah.
Have you met him?
Yeah, I met him. I went to the church and actually visited him there. He had family in town and stuff. Like he invited me out and stuff. I was chatting with him a little bit, but he had family that came in town and stuff, so it's kind of hard to hang out.
No, totally. I would love for you to get to know him. And really, really weird thing. At some point between all these tours that I do, I'm planning to fly out to Mobile and actually like live with his family for a little bit. Wow. And just get some discipleship from him. And so like I really feel like that we're gonna probably grow closer when I do that. It's just I tour so much that like I can't do it this time because like I go home and like I'm a groomsman in 2 different weddings when I get home. One for Sean from Phineas, another awesome band, and then he's the singer, and then the other is for Thomas, our bassist. So I going to Mobile just wouldn't work because I would like go to Mobile for like a week and then to LA for a week, then Mobile for a week. It's just like something that I can't do. Yeah. But I probably between the August Burns Red tour and the For Today Farewell tour, or after the For Today Farewell tour, and until like.
Are you guys on that tour at all? Are you guys doing anything?
We are. We haven't announced it, but obviously I don't mind saying this now because we're so far into the interview. We're on the final farewell tour. Are you guys gonna be on the Pensacola leg? I don't know. So there's like 3 legs. Basically, they do like smaller markets in America, and then they do like Europe and South America, and then they do like final America. So there's like 3 different legs, and so we're on the 3rd and final leg. I think that's the one where they were coming close by. I actually looked that up, and I know that both of them. I know that they kind of both the first and the second America runs have a somewhat similar like reach. It's just the first one, it was focusing more on smaller-ish cities and smaller-ish venues, and then the last one, they're going for those like 1,000 cap rooms every night and just gonna like, you know, make it so that if you ever want to see For Today in this major city, that's it. You know what I mean? And so we're on that last one. It looks like they got it on the it's in October. Yeah, October they have 4th. Yeah. So the ones that we're on are November, December. Okay. Those are so all the November, December America dates are the ones that we're on, and then all the September, October, or whatever. Those ones are not. We're not on those. We're actually going to be on tour in September. We're going to be on tour in September, October with August Burns Red. And that might come close to you. I'm not really. Yeah, they come down here a lot. Yeah, they actually do come down here a lot. So. Yeah, they're also cool dudes. Yeah, definitely. Their vocalist Jake is also a Christian and fairly, from what I can see, pretty like interesting, kind of open-minded dude. Has a lot of cool thoughts.
you'll probably be at the Atlanta gig, right? It's in December.
For today?
December.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'd love the guest list to get you into the show and just kind of hang out. That'd be really cool.
That'd be awesome, man. I'll definitely be in touch about that, man. We're going to make some stuff happen, dude. I really want you to hear my music, and I think you'll like it because it's very...
Can you just send me a link on the text message?
Yeah, you want to send it on the phone?
Yeah. Just text me whatever you got.
Okay.
That would be awesome.
Awesome, dude. Yeah. With that being said, man, thanks for coming on the show. Everybody go out right now and buy the new album from Silent Planet entitled Everything Was Sound.
Or you can pirate it or stream it. I don't care, man. Just give it a listen.
Listen to it. It's everything in this interview and more. It's beautiful. It's well put together, man. Thanks for coming on the show, brother. I look forward to building with you, man. Thanks so much, brother.
Hey, thank you. Bless you.
Today's podcast is brought to you by webcreatorpros.com. If you're looking for a professional website at an affordable price, head on over to webcreatorpros.com, type in the promo code TRUTH to save $200 on your first website. webcreatorpros.com.
If you would like to sponsor the show or advertise on the Mythicist podcast, you can do so by going to www.mythicist.me and click on Sponsor the Show for more info. If you would like to support the show financially, you can do that also by going to mythicist.me and become a monthly supporter. We appreciate your monthly support.
Won't you come and take me